Hey guys, I'm Matt from TheDriftGang, and in this video I will be painting my entire car with nothing but spray cans. I'll be making custom DIY front and rear bumpers and then throwing it all together to see whether we can make the car look nice on a very tight budget by doing it all by ourselves. Sit back and enjoy the crazy video this is gonna be. Here we've got some rear bumpers. We're gonna grab this skin and is this one healthy? Right, I think that's all we're gonna need. Now with a stock bumper on, you can clearly tell that there's just not enough of it. It's really way too small and we're gonna be fixing that. My idea, taking another stock bumper, and I think I'll be cutting it somewhere roughly here and then maybe here and then try to fit it as a lip onto that bumper. This bit I'll probably cut off. This seems a little bit excessive, but...
Well, it's big. Definitely.
We like it big.
We like it.
I think we're done with the concept now, and I'm gonna head inside with the bumper and the new lip, and then try to get those two paired together in a way that this doesn't separate from that, like it used to do in my last season of drifting, because that was a bit of a headache. The lip doesn't really want to sit on the bumper, right? So I've made some eyeball measurements and I'm gonna cut off this piece. And I think that should help. It's already dark outside, which means that I've been grinding away at this thing for a couple hours now, trying to make it fit. And I've gotten it to a point where I'm happy with how it fits. And that is exactly when I run into the next issue, which is figuring out how to actually mount it. There just ain't no way to properly mount it. But then I got creative. I went to the garage and I was able to find some household supplies, which these are nice and flexible, so I can cut them to length and then bend them. And I think this is gonna be a very, very good solution that's also flexible, and when I inevitably run into something with the back end of the car, these will probably take up the hit, and hopefully my homemade splitter will not shatter to pieces. So there it is. I am very happy with the result. It doesn't fully go with the lines of the car as of right now, but the lines of the car will still change a little bit. So I think it's great. The first layer of body filler is on the car. I am absolutely terrible when it comes to applying body filler, but I think this time I haven't left myself a huge amount extra to sand off, so this should be relatively smooth. This is gonna be a lot of layers, I can tell you that for sure. And it has been about 2 days of me throwing a whole bunch of body filler onto the car, then sanding it down, then throwing more body filler onto the car, and around and around and around, until I came to a realization that if I've spent about 2 years throwing a car into a wall, or a different car, or doing similar things, then the odds of me getting the car back to a somewhat straight looking thing are pretty slim. Either way, I have managed to fill in the biggest craters that were on the shell, especially on this side. This one actually ended up looking relatively straight, at least for now, while it's dusty. I'm sure it's gonna look really bad once we prime it, but before we get there, I have sanded it all down. So now, let's give her the last wash while it's in this color, I guess. It's in multiple colors, in many colors. Either way, time for a wash. Now, we have to mask up the car and throw some primer on it. By the way, I didn't mention, we're doing a full paint job onto the car using absolutely nothing but spray cans, which is gonna be quite a challenge in itself. I know it can be done. The result here definitely won't be perfect just because the shell has been bent and beat and then straightened with a hammer or other household items and then bashed again. But I've gotten her relatively straight. Like this is all nice and wavy. I think we're aiming for the very well-known result of good from far but far from good. And so the car has been masked off and we are ready to prime it, or actually paint it, because the roof is gonna be black and I don't think this needs any priming. So I will just dust it off, start off with painting the roof black, and then sort of remask these spots later on to prime the rest of the car and mask off the entire roof. Initially, I had thought about priming or even painting it here outside, but it is pretty windy here. There's a whole lot of bugs flying around and I don't want that to mess up my factory level paint job. So instead, I'll be doing that in the garage. Now, with these floors, it is super dusty in here. What I've done is I've used the compressor, the air compressor, to blow out most of the dust, and I will be covering the floors with this piece of plastic here, hoping to get at least some of the dust away from the car. This is the paint I'll be using for the roof, black gloss. I'm not sure if I'll put clear over the roof as well. I guess we'll see how this looks without clear and then decide. Either way, the big moment. This is good, let's get it. And the roof is done, or I hope it is. I threw 3 cans of black spray paint onto it. It's looking super stripy right now, but I'm hoping that once it dries off, it's gonna get better. If not, I'll have to, I guess, throw 1 more can at it, but so far not looking too great. I mean, there are certain spots that look decent, like this one, but this one I painted most recently, so this is still definitely wet. So here's a quick but a very pleasant update. The black paint on the roof looked super stripy, and I had run out of paint, so I couldn't apply it anymore. So I decided to throw in a haymaker and just cover it with clear coat, hoping that it would all become equally shiny, because it was obviously all black already, so that wasn't the issue. And this thing did some magic. The first coat of primer is on the car. I went very light with it. This pass took me about 1 1/4 cans of primer. I'll probably do I'm thinking about 3 coats. Well, either way until it comes unicolor, just to make sure that once I apply the paint, there isn't no tone difference in between the panels. I'm talking like a painter here, even though I've got absolutely no clue what I'm doing, but hoping for decent results. I'm gonna let this sit for like 5 minutes. I need to breathe in some fresh air and perhaps find like a respirator or something, because if I am gonna use 20 cans in one day, I'd like to limit the amount of paint that goes into my lungs. This is not good for your health. So if you find yourself in a similar situation, definitely, and I really mean it, wear a respirator. For me, maybe that one? So now that the primer has dried up, I've gotten myself some 800 grit sandpaper. I've got some water and we're gonna wet sand the entire car. Trying to make the surface smoother before we lay the paint. That way we have at least a remote chance of getting that glossy finish. I'm pretty sure it would be better to be using something like a 600 grit first and then move on to 800, but I am not very confident in the thickness of the primer that I've laid on, so I don't want to remove too much material. So the car has now dried off and the time has come for me to blow all of this dust off the car, and then we're gonna paint it. There are a couple of bugs flying around the garage, so I'll have to find a way to get rid of them. And that's clear coating done. Everything's looking super glossy. Now it will definitely lose some of that gloss as all of this fade that's in the air drops onto the parts. I experienced the same thing with the car. I cleared it very nicely, but then obviously as everything settled, we've got a quite bit of texture onto the car. But I'm definitely happy with the results so far of the experiments. So we're gonna let this just sit here for a couple of hours, then I'm gonna open the door, let some heat in, then it's gonna keep on sitting here, and I plan on assembling it all together tomorrow. Now that the painting process is done, I have added up all the materials I used, so here we go. On top of the 10 cans of primer I used, I've also used up 1 can of sprayable body filler. So that's technically 11 cans of primer. Then we had 9 cans of the color I chose for the shell, and 4 cans of black gloss paint. And then to make it all nice and shiny, we did not 6, but 12 cans of clear coat. Also, looking back, I wish I would have another extra can of paint, because some places kind of may have used up more. Same thing goes for 1 extra can of primer. As far as clear coat goes, probably 1 or 2 extra wouldn't hurt, but I'm pretty happy with the results. And this, of course, is before we do anything to make it extra shiny, which is gonna come up in an upcoming video. So now, I'm gonna throw it all together and give you guys the final reveal. And so the long 2-week process of turning this car visually completely around is finally over. I got a little bit overly excited and ended up throwing my beautiful wheels on it as well. 16 inch, 9 inches wide in the back, 8 inches up front. A nice staggered setup. I think it goes very nicely together with the car. The fitment's actually somewhat alright in the back. The front is begging to be lowered, but we're already running quite low. And given where I live, getting it any lower than this would be a very masochistic thing to do. Also, we have hidden the exhaust. It's right there, so I'll have to make a cutout for it. But that is gonna be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for watching it through, and I'll see you in the next one. For now, bye bye.